G'day everyone, Viv here again. Welcome back to the second and final part of making our Dystopian Wars island. This part's going to be about painting and flocking and finishing it, adding some trees and detail, so let's just get stuck into it. Okay, let's get on with the first part. The first part is to paint the whole island brown. Obviously it's going to be beach colours along the side here, so yellows and light whites along the side here. It's going to be have green flock on it. I have added to the top of this a couple of little rock piles, and the cliff face along the edges are obviously going to be grey, but brown, and this is just a normal wall paint. Brown is a good base colour for A, the yellows, and B, the greys. It's a nice warm colour, especially for greys. So first step is just to go ahead, shake up our paint, crack the tin, and paint the piece of this brown. There we go, our whole island has been base coated brown, so we're just going to let this dry and then come back and we'll do our grey colours. Okay, so the piece is dried good enough to do a dry brush on, I hope. So I've just mixed up a little bit of black and white paint here just to get myself a dark grey colour, and we're going to do a dry brush with this grey and slowly add little bits of white to it to bring it up to a colour. So we're just going to go ahead and dry brush off the rocks on the surface here. This being our first coat, we'll go reasonably heavy with the dry brush, and then we'll do the cliffs, and then we'll come back once we've added a little bit of white to the grey and progressively build it up. So there's our first layer done. Just going to add some white to the grey. Oh, it looks like I missed a spot there. Add some white to the grey, and then we'll let this dry for a little bit and then do the next layer. Okay, so this is dried for a little while. I've mixed a little bit of white paint into the grey just to make it a bit lighter, and we'll come back and just do the next layer on top of these ones. There we go, there's our second dry brush. Third dry brush, just getting progressively and progressively lighter. There's our third dry brush. So we've added a whole bunch of white into that grey. It's gone a very, very light grey, and we just want to again touch into just the very top surfaces. There we go, there's our highest highlight. I'm going to come back with just a touch of white. And we're done with the rocks. So for the sand, I've got two colours, both of them sample pots. One's called Ochre Sun, and the other one is a custom mix, which cost me $2 from the hardware store. So we're going to put a base colour of this Ochre Sun all the way around the edge, and then we'll do a dry brush of this lighter custom colour, and then followed up with a very light dry brush of white, and our sand will be complete. we go, there's our first layer of the sand done. Now we just need to put our custom colour highlight on once that dries. Very light dry brush of white and the sand will be done. Then we can do the flocking and we're almost finished. There we go. I am going to give it just a very light hit with some white just to finish it off. There we go, there's our sand done, our rocks done. Now all we need to do is apply some glue and put some flock on. Almost finished. Okay, we're at the very last stage. I've got a tiny little bit of glue mixed up here. This is just PVA with just a couple of drops of water in it and 2 different coloured flocks that I made. You could obviously use any coloured flocks that you want. And you guessed it, it's fairly straightforward. We just paint this on here and then we sprinkle some flocks on. So that's our glue done. Then we just, 2 different coloured flocks, we just sprinkle it on. So that's been there for about a minute. We just flip it upside down and tap it off. There's our flock on our island. So for the last step, and that's adding trees, we're going to need some toothpicks, our brown paint to paint our toothpicks brown. We're going to need a hot glue gun into which the trees are going to get attached, or how the trees are going to get attached, and some clump foliage, which is obviously going to be the top of our trees. So the first thing is to paint your toothpicks brown. The easiest way I find to paint the toothpicks is just to get a scrap piece of foam and stick the toothpicks into it. It just makes it easier to hold them all, and then go ahead and paint them. There we go, I've painted the toothpicks brown. You'll notice that I didn't paint all the way to the top, obviously because I don't need to have this full height for the trees. We're going to cut them with some clippers at about sort of 1.5 centimeters in height. Okay, so now that our toothpicks have dried, we're simply going to take them off of here and we're going to jam them into our island. It's nice sometimes to do these in groups and then to have a couple of individual ones. Once we have our toothpicks stuck into our island, we just want to trim them off. Now the groups, obviously you want to have the groups at relatively the same height. Once we've cut our trees off with our brown paint, we just want to go back over the top and touch up the tops where the paper clips have been snipped, just so that if any of our clump foliage falls off, it's still going to look like just a piece of wood sticking out of the ground. Now we just start applying the tree. So with our hot glue gun, we just apply a small daub on top of the tree, and grab a little bit of clump foliage, stick it on the top, and then grab the tree with it. Then we just keep on going through and finishing the trees. There we go. Some little trees. Now, Dystopian Wars is 1/600 scale, so some of these trees are going to be absolutely massive. But that's fine. We've got some trees on our island. Now, with our clump foliage, we can just add around the place full of little bushes. So a little bit of hot glue on the base, and a little bit of clump foliage on the ground. There we go, and we're finished. And there we are, there's our island with a couple of little frigates and a cruiser cruising past. Obviously, if you want it a different colour, flock it a different colour. If you want the sand to be a bit darker, paint the sand a bit darker. But there you go, there's our island for Dystopian Wars. So there we go, it's a simple project. You need a few tools to get it done, as you've seen, but all up you could probably knock out one of these islands in maybe 40 minutes, maybe 30 minutes build time, less drying time unless you've got a heat gun like I do. You can speed the process up a little bit faster. But that's the process for building islands for Dystopian Wars. As I mentioned in the previous video, if you want them to be double height or triple height, just layer up more foam and then just cover it away like you did with the ruler, and Bob's your uncle. Have fun playing around. I hope that's been useful. Sorry for the delay to all those people who have been sending me messages, even up until just a couple of days ago. So thanks very much for watching my videos. I hope you find them useful. I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.